Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams, the host of the Membership Masters podcast. I'm a self-employed, location-independent online entrepreneur, and I've built multiple successful membership sites of my own. I've helped thousands of other people start, build, and grow membership sites, and I started this podcast to help business owners just like you create incredible memberships and subscriptions. I interview some of the most successful online entrepreneurs in the world, and today's show is going to be no exception. My guest on this week's Membership Masters podcast is my good friend, the one and only Pat Flynn of the Smart Passive Income podcast. As many of you know, Pat was a huge inspiration and early mentor in our quest to become online entrepreneurs. His story inspired me and my wife, Jocelyn, to launch our first online business, and he even encouraged us to launch the Flipped Lifestyle podcast. I've had the great pleasure of getting to know Pat over the years and have even appeared twice on the Smart Passive Income podcast myself. In all the years I've known Pat, I've asked him multiple times, bro, when are you going to launch a membership site? Well, a few months ago, I sent him that text and he replied back, I've got a secret. It's coming soon. I'm happy to report that that day has finally come and Pat Flynn has launched his first paid membership community. It's called SPI Pro. SPI Pro rolled out of the gates with hundreds of applicants and members and is already an amazing success story in Pat's portfolio. In today's episode, Pat and I are going to go deep into his strategy for starting, building, and launching a successful membership community. We are going to talk about using an application process for your membership to create and control the culture of your community, how to tie in a monthly recurring membership site with your existing course, coaching, or affiliate business, and how critical a team is to building $1 million membership of your own. I absolutely love this conversation with my friend Pat Flynn. He really is one of the nicest and most genuine people you will ever meet, and I can't wait for you to listen to this show. But before we get started, I've got one question for you. Are you ready to become a membership master today? If you are, then let's go. Welcome to the Membership Masters podcast, brought to you by membershipmasters.com. This is the podcast where we teach you how to get and keep more members every single month. I've helped thousands of people start, build, and grow memberships, and I interview some of the biggest membership owners anywhere online. My goal is to help you build $1 million membership of your own. Brick by brick, let's do it together. Come on. Pat Flynn, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on, man? Excited to be here.
I'm pumped to talk. I've been waiting for this conversation ever since you told me you were launching a membership. I'm like, you're coming on. This has to happen. We got to figure this out.
Dude, I'm so, we're coming around full circle here. You guys on my show in episode 122. Now I'm on your show talking about a success story, something that you've helped me with.
Hey, man.
Just really excited for this conversation.
That's what it's all about. We're just all here trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. That's all I'm trying to do around here, man. We were just getting ready to talk off air. We were talking a little bit about the kids, and you asked me about school. And I was just going to tell you, I don't think we're going to have school, like, at all in Kentucky. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Yeah.
It's crazy times, man. It's crazy times. I mean, we're trying to, they're doing the distant learning thing at their school right now. And luckily they were kind of prepared for this because it's a very entrepreneurial, technological school anyway. So we feel very blessed with that, but we're taking some time at home, April, teaching the kids laundry and cooking and all these life skills things. For those of you who might have seen me on Instagram recently, I've been getting into gardening, and we're going to be teaching the kids about horticulture and things like that. So just trying to use this time, although it's crazy. We can't go on trips. I mean, we want to go to Hawaii and Disneyland so bad, like we used to do all the time. Well, we're trying to make the best of it. And same thing business-wise. There's certain things that just are a little bit more difficult than they were before because of the times, but we're also taking advantage of the fact that, well, everybody wants to connect with each other these days. Well, hey, let's build something for that. And we just did, and it's rocking right now.
That's amazing, dude. We've done the same thing. We've tried to we approach everything with, be the thermostat, not the thermometer, right? Like, we're trying to set the tone for the kids. Like, hey, we're going to take advantage of this time.
Exactly.
We've been going back and forth a little bit about getting computers for the kids. That we got, and I just got mine yesterday. You beat me to the punch by about a month. And when you sent me that text, and you're like, I got this, and I was like, what'd you get? And you're like, look at this. And my Isaac was so jealous. He was like, oh, I want that so bad. I'm like, well,
we're talking about gaming computers.
Yeah, gaming computers. That's what we're talking about, not just work computers. But he just got his yesterday, and he literally, it's the first time I've ever seen him cry, being so happy that he cried.
Dude, that's epic, man. That's what it's about, providing these opportunities for our kids. And, I'm sure like he earned it, much like my son did for his. And we're playing together. Now we're playing Fortnite, playing Minecraft. We're building worlds together. We're bonding. And, these are times that the kids are going to remember, hopefully in a positive light.
Oh yeah, for sure. Isaac, what he does is we have a paper newsletter for this podcast, and Isaac and Anna ship them. And there are shipping things. They come in, I write it, Jocelyn edits it. We come in, the kids run the printer, they pack all the packages, they print all the labels, and we've got this little gold foil stamp, and it's like an embosser, like you stamp it, but so it's like a raised thing, and it says packed by Isaac and Anna Joe, and they think that's the most amazing thing in the world. Yep. And you talk about getting earning your keep. I mean, they're Dunder Mifflin in here in the paper company, running the print shop for me. So they are definitely earning their keep.
So people listening to this or watching it may have gotten first notice of it from one of those newsletters, perhaps.
That's exactly right. Never know. That's right. That's how it works, man. Hey, I tell you what we're trying to do for school. I actually put an APB out last week on Facebook. We actually wrote a job description. I think I'm going to add a team member. And if we go all virtual, I think we're going to hire like a teacher who, maybe someone who's substitute teaching, because subs aren't going to be working now if there's no school. Right. Or even a teacher's aide. They're not being brought back. It's just the teachers that are teaching those virtual classes. And I put a job description together, and I think I'm going to hire someone to come in who may not have a job and help the kids go through the virtual stuff.
Yeah. I think that's a smart idea. I mean, so it's just like for kids who have these other careers at a young age, actors and such. I mean, they still need to get educated. What do? They hire somebody who's great and who can be there with them, who can learn what they need, what they don't need, as opposed to just kind of this weird time that we're in now.
It's bizarre, man. It's been. I think that we did a webinar right when it was happening.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like when the world ended. Right, and the new world emerged.
Yes,
from it, and that's
pay attention to the language that we were using, because we wanted to be sensitive to money and how people were feeling during that time. And it's interesting. Man. A lot of people are actually spending more money now as a result of having time to educate themselves, time to put things into place now. At least we've been seeing that in our business.
Okay, almost to a person, every online business entrepreneur I know. And even some offline, but offline's hard right now because the government's, making people close and things like that. But like, man, I'm telling you, the online world has just exploded. I mean, everybody I know is up this year, like they're growing, and especially people I think in our space who've been banging the drum for years. Your job's not safe just because it seems safe. Like right. Anything can happen if you don't go out of the cave and bring it back yourself. Like that's just like pouring in now because everybody's like, you were right.
Do a bunch of news things on TV all around the world, in fact, about when I was laid off in 2008 and how I survived that. And now that story is coming back in a different way, and it's more relevant to more people. And I'm just very blessed that I went through that before and have been able to prepare people now for the same sort of situation for different reasons, obviously. I mean, what's got me excited about just the online space in general is, and I don't know how much you follow Elon Musk, Tesla, et cetera. I mean, he's launching this thing called Starlink, which is satellites, and say what you will about astronomy and what that does for that. It's happening. And another half of the internet is going to come in the next few years that currently don't have internet access. And guess who they're going to find? They're going to find all of us who are online. There's going to be that much more traffic, that many more people that we can serve as a result of just things opening up to people, the internet being accessible to people who just don't even have access to that right now. And that's really exciting too, because we can affect more people's lives. We can grow memberships. We can have more customers, and we can have more traffic, and as a result, help more people too. And that's crazy exciting to me. I don't think a lot of people are talking about that.
That is mind blowing. I haven't even really thought about that, but it's amazing half the earth really isn't even on the internet. We feel like, my favorite question that people come in is like, well, is my market too saturated? And I'm like, no, like you only need 100 people to pay you $50 a month to make $60,000 a year. Like that's it. And there's 3 billion people that don't even understand there is an internet that are about to do it.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, man. It's
crazy.
All right, so let's talk about your membership. Okay, so I talked to you in California before the world got shut down, and I was like, man, when are you going to start a membership? And you're like, you want to know a secret? Like, we're getting ready to launch a membership. Here we go. And I was like, oh, I knew it. I knew it was coming. But so the first thing I want to do is just kind of start at the beginning. Like, so you do a lot of amazing things, dude. You're an investor. You freaking have affiliate stuff on lockdown. You do courses. Like, what started the conversation at SPI headquarters about, hey, we need a membership. We need a community. We need something where people are paying month after month and year after year. Like, why did you guys go this route to add something like that to what you were already doing so well that was working, right?
Yeah, I mean, the one part that was missing from everything that we were offering, from our courses, the affiliate marketing, to all the content. I mean, I'm everywhere, right? Podcast, blog, YouTube channel with over 250,000 subs. Like it's a lot of places, but there wasn't that one central place where people who were committed, who wanted to start their business and could come together to find like-minded people, that was filtered. It was there was a Facebook group, and there were little pockets of conversations here and there, but there was no one central place where people could invest in themselves and connecting with other people like them. And I think the big trigger for me was FlynnCon, which you saw, and to see the actual community there, 500 people in San Diego, me freaking out the entire time because I was just so worried about everybody's experience there. Like literally the night before, having a breakdown, crying in a puddle of water that I spilled the night before the event. I was just so worried about everybody's experiences. And what the coolest thing, when I asked about FlynnCon and what people enjoyed about it the most, they were like, Pat, you were great. It's great to see your family. The event was very, very well done. But you know what I loved about it the most? Seeing and conversing and talking to and being with other people like me. I was like, oh man, like why don't we focus in on that a little bit more and not do this just once a year, which by the way, FlynnCon this year got canceled, which was terrible. But now we're still able to bring these people together and bring them together in an even more convenient way where they don't have to fly in. They don't have to, take time out of their schedule to come and be a part of the community. They are a part of the community indefinitely, or so long as they continue to pay and are getting value, right? So this idea came in really after FlynnCon of, well, how do we fill in that gap that we offer once a year at FlynnCon all throughout the year? Need something like that, like a membership site. And community that people can come in every single day to come in. And that's the goal. We want people to log in every day. We want this to replace Facebook for people because we think this is there's more ROI in SPI Pro than Facebook. Anyway, that was sort of the origin story of what eventually became. It was originally known as SPI Plus, and then Disney Plus came out, and we're like, okay, well, I don't know if the Plus thing makes sense. Who is this really for? These are for the committed people, the professionals, whether you're a solopreneur or you have a massive team or not. As long as you've gotten started and you're looking to grow, this is the place for you. This is where you can become a pro with the work you're doing online, and that's why it's SPI Pro.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. It's weird what happens, and I'm a big believer in not building your community on the Facebook group too. Like we've had a forum since 2014, and everything we do happens in that forum area or in the comments of our courses or on member calls, right? And it's because you get to control that experience, and you get to own everything that gets created in there, which is awesome. Because I think we have like 100,000 forum posts or something like that in the last 6 or 7 years. So all that, it stays in one place. It's searchable. And like, it is this weird gated community, walled off thing that people really do feel special that they get access to. Like they get access to hundreds of other like-minded people in one place. And I'll tell you how a story about people building that community in your forums or in your comment area. So we do a live event too. And when we did our first live event with it, we called it the Flip Lifestyle Family Reunion. We just brought anyone wants to come, virtual community coming in. When they came in, it was weird. Joss and I were looking down from the balcony and we were watching people, and they immediately were hugging. They immediately were going like surprised. And they were like, it's like they knew each other. They really did. They knew each other, even though they had never been in the same place, hugged or anything like that. And one night, Jocelyn and I walked in. We had a working dinner. So we had like 100 people in a room. and you were supposed to implement what you learned that day, right? So we brought dinner in there. We had like a buffet line when you could still have buffets. And then we brought the buffet line in and people were eating dinner. And Jocelyn and I walked in, and you know how it is, like when you're at your community, like it's weird when you're a podcaster or something and people listen to you. Cause like in your normal life, you're just wandering around the grocery store and nobody knows who you are. And then, but you get in your little pocket of your universe and everybody kind of knows who you are. But we walked in and we thought, okay, well, everybody's going to swamp us. Nobody noticed. They were all just having fun and hanging out at their table and meeting with their little virtual masterminds in real life. And that was crazy to see how deep the relationships got built inside of a virtual community like what you've built.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, we think that a membership community is about us as the creators of the community. It's actually not. It's about the people connecting with each other. I remember when I spoke at FinCon in St. Louis in 2013, and this I do, and again, used to do because I can't anymore, but I used to rent out like a restaurant to bring people together who were in my audience who were also at that event or around the area. And so I rented out this pizza joint. We were having beer and pizza, and we were there the whole night. It was like 100 people. At the end of the night, there was this one woman who I saw for the first time at the end of the night. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was trying to go around saying hello to everybody. And she goes, Pat, I didn't come here for you. And I was like a little taken aback about how aggressive she said that. But then she was like, Pat, I love your stuff. I listen to your show every single week. I know you. But you've given me an opportunity to meet with other people who I also love now too. They're like, these are my people, and thank you for bringing us together. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You've facilitated this and these connections. And I found a business partner here that we're going to have a conversation with tomorrow about. And it was like, that was the realization that these meetups weren't about me. And then every meetup from that point forward, I kind of just sat back in the corner and waited for people to come up. I never really kind of went around because they get to create their own experiences there, which is really cool. Another fun thing that happened community related is related to, so every morning since the pandemic started, I've gone live on YouTube. And today was my 154th day in a row streaming live on YouTube.
It's amazing.
Kind of crazy what happens when you show up consistently all the time. The same people will show up with you consistently over time. And that little group in the income stream, which is a few hundred people every day, it's the same faces. And in fact, I didn't know this, but they created their own Slack community because they wanted to connect with each other further after the show. And after every morning, they come together and they talk about what I talk about on the show, and they just go a little bit deeper into it. And I didn't even know that. I'm not even in there. They're doing that on their own, and they've been doing it for over 100 plus days already. It just shows you how much people are craving connection to people like them, but somebody has to step up and create the container to which those connections can happen. And I think that's all of our opportunities here. And I'm thankful that we at Team SPI, we saw this even before the pandemic, but I think the pandemic definitely helped in the sense that people are even more now craving community and connection, and we can create that space for them.
And also too, as the leader, like what you said something really profound there. I'm watching the magician's hands here a little bit. Like if you don't create it, they will, and you may then lose control of that thing. Like that's another really, like we think is a strong argument for everybody needs some kind of monthly recurring revenue membership, because these things do spring up. Like we had a live event one time and the people started their own Facebook group, didn't know about it forever. Right. And I was like, Jocelyn, why didn't we start a Facebook group for them? Like then we could have been a part of the leadership and the control over it. Now it's just them, which is cool. That's all. That's good. Another thing was we started having Flip Your Life people meeting in person. Like they would figure out, oh, there's 6 of us in Cleveland or whatever. And that's our next level. We're like, well, how can we facilitate that now that we can't have live events? Could we facilitate these live meetups and help guide them so that control's the wrong word, but like really it is, so you can help them manage the experience, right? Yeah. And it's something that's on brand, and it keeps the community like flowing together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And we're doing a lot of the similar thinking within our community at SPI Pro. My vision when we first created it was to have an events tab, and there is an events tab, but right now all the events are virtual, but events in specific locations around the world. There was a guy, rest in peace, Scott Dinsmore from Live Your Legend, who was a blogger. He passed away at a very young age in his mid-20s on a hike at Kilimanjaro. Yeah. And even though he had passed away, because of how he built his community, and his community continues to do this now years later, he would set up little meetups that would happen at the same time, but all around the world, where people can come together and in person kind of connect, but then also virtually connect while in person with other groups around the world. And this still continues to live on even after Scott has passed away. And he is indeed living his legend, and he is a living legend because of that. So
that's amazing.
We're looking at ways within our community to, once things can open up again, go, hey, there is a meetup in, I don't know, Boise, Idaho, that's going to happen on this date. Anybody who's in and around that area, go there, SPI meetup, and then people would be able to see and meet each other in the group online first, and then probably, like you said, go there, handshake or elbow bumps or whatever the hug is now.
Social distancing, air hug, high five, whatever it is.
But we want to create those, and we're creating other kinds of events because our membership is not content. And that's actually, we ran some surveys in the application process. We had over 2,500 people apply, and it wasn't a let everybody in type of situation too. I don't know how deep you want to go into those.
Deep, baby. Anything you want to tell me. That's what we're here for. Let's learn, baby.
Well, we wanted to use the application process as a filter as well to make sure that we have the right people in there. And not that the people who don't get in or are rejected are wrong. It's just they're not the right fit for it right now. So about half the people who applied indeed were approved to get in, and the other half were not. But we didn't just leave them hanging. We said, hey, here's why you weren't approved, and here's what you can do between now and when you reapply to get to that point where you can qualify. And a lot of it was based on business experience, email list size, goals, time available, those kinds of things too. And we have resources, free resources to give to them, and access to those things so they can get to that level. And I was a little bit worried because I'm a people pleaser. I want to say yes to everybody. But I knew how important this was for the community that we were building, because now everybody who's in the community has started a business, and it's nobody in there who's like, hey, how do I get started? Please help. It's like, hey, here's this thing that is working for me, but I need some help in this area. What have you done? Oh, that's cool. This worked for me in this way. And now we're able to have a little bit more better conversations because of that. But the filtering process was great too, because when we let people in, it almost felt like a letter from Hogwarts, where it's like, oh my gosh, I got accepted situation, which was pretty cool. And we've only let a few people in, and we're still rolling people in, but we wanted to launch with the Founding 500. And this sort of beta group or founders group was really important because it made them feel really special about getting in early and locking in that lowest price. But also, we are using a platform called Circle to manage our membership, circle.so. And I've fallen in love with the product so much that, in fact, I'm now an advisor for the company as well too. So I can have even more influence on sort of how it shapes the community. But one really cool thing that they do is they allow you to create cool tags for every person that actually gets shown in their profile. So the founding members each have a founding member tag next to their name that shows up when they leave a comment too. So now they lose that if they leave. So it's, again, these little things that we're trying to do to keep them motivated and reward them for participating and being part of it. But one thing that we're doing, or when we did the application process, we ran a survey. Why does SPI Pro, why do you believe SPI Pro is something that you want to get into, what you want to get involved with? And the number one answer, I think 85% of people selected networking. They just wanted to connect with other people and network and have those conversations. The last thing, 5% of people said they're coming in because they want more content. It's not a content play in this particular community. Many other communities are indeed a content play or a good mix of both, where it's sort of like you're bringing people on a journey, but they have the conversations at the same time with that. Us, it's just connections. And so our role in SPI Pro is, how can we facilitate those connections? How can we create moments where people are finding each other? And so we're using a lot of Zoom calls and welcome calls and things to connect people. Zoom rooms have become a good part of our process of connecting people together, as well as events. And our events are really, really popular. We have Ask Me Anythings, where first it was me, but then we have other team members coming on. For example, Matt, my CFO and COO, is coming on to talk about cash flow. And anybody who has any questions about cash and finances in their business, they're going to have just immediate access to Matt for a certain period of time within a Reddit-style AMA, where it's sort of a hybrid, in fact, where it's not on Zoom, because Zoom sometimes time zones, et cetera, you can't have everybody in there at the same time. But we're doing a text-based AMA where people can ask questions via text, but then we answer with a Loom video. And Loom is nicely integrated with Circle, where just really quick on the fly, I can shoot a video, pop the link in there that Loom provides, and then it's a video response to a text message that now gets, like you said, in the forums that you have versus Facebook, much more easily archived, much more easily findable. These are resources that are now available for other people who might have the same questions later. Another event type thing that we're doing is we have our challenges. So we have a COTM, our challenge of the month. I'm really trying hard to create some language within the community and the culture of SPI Pro that people can start saying these words to each other that are sort of like insider words. So COTMs, challenges of the month, very similar to how people who do CrossFit, they have their WODs, the workouts of the day. And I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, what's a WOD? And like, oh, workouts of the day, bro. Aren't you in? Aren't you on the inside? I'm like, no, I'm not. I guess I need to learn more about this. So we're trying to create some sort of language within the culture of SPI Pro there. But our challenges of the month are really popular. People can choose to participate in them or not, but it's essentially for a X number of days. The first one was a 3-day challenge. Every day there's a new set of instructions that go on there. They do the thing, the transformation that we're promising, and then at the end they share the results, and everybody sort of rallies and helps each other out and shares the results with everybody else. And it just becomes a really nice thing. And we've heard specifically from dozens of people saying, wow, this challenge alone was worth the price of admission. Can't wait for the next one. And so these kinds of events on top of the community that are led by the community leaders are really great. We also have a book club in there. I had a book club, but it was essentially just get an email from Pat about the book I'm reading, and that's it. Now we're actually having discussions and Zoom calls, and we're all learning together. And in fact, a lot of people are like, wow, thanks for this book club, because usually I start a book and I don't I'm not feeling compelled to read, but now because we're discussing every 2 chapters every week, it's like now I'm feeling like I have to do it, and now I can think about it a little bit more deeply and implement these things a little bit more too. So it's kind of like an accountability play, an event play versus a content play. And of course, the connecting of the community together as well.
Yeah, the accountability thing is like, there's 2 amazing things I heard there from just the same thing that we've kind of learned over the years. Number one, it's not about us. Like the day that, so we used to bill this as come talk to Shane and Jocelyn, right? Like in the forums. And then once the forums, we launched and had like 120 members, then we got 200, then we got 300, then it kept getting bigger. And then finally it got like, I can't go in here every day. I just can't. We do have community managers. So every 1,000 people, we try to get a new person that works in the community. But at the same time, I remember this conversation with Jocelyn, man. I was like, let's not go into the forums for 1 week and just see what happens. Like, let's not tell anybody. Let's not make it a big deal. Like, we're off. We're leaving the ball. Right? Don't make this any like kind of thing about us. Let's just not go in there and see what happens. Dude, the forums exploded. It was unbelievable. Like literally 7 days later, where we were getting like, no one would reply to anything is what was happening. They were waiting for me or Jocelyn to reply. And so like, as soon as we left and about 2-3 days in, I was kind of getting nervous. I was like, nobody's talking anymore. They're just asking questions. And they were just sitting there. And then all of a sudden, 1 reply, 2 replies, 10 replies. And people, once we got out of the way, like you said, like, it's not about you, it's not about Matt, it's not about anybody. It's like, we've got people there for help and to guide the discussion and to kind of poke the fire a little bit. But man, when you let those people start talking to each other, magic happens. And I'll read answers sometimes in our community and I'll be like, that's better than I ever could have answered that question anyway. Like, I don't have a monopoly on all this information. Like, I'll learn something. I'll be like, sweet, putting that Chrome browser extension in today. Right.
Yeah.
And man, when I got out of the way and Jocelyn got out of the way, it was just, the community could actually form. And that accountability piece, dude, like, I interviewed a guy, do you know Kirk Duplessis? You ever met Kirk Duplessis before? He runs a stock website called Option Alpha.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And he was telling us that one time, like this accountability and this being in the moment and being together and all those things and how important it was. And he's like, man, it ain't about the content. And we've always said people come for your content, but they stay for the people, right? Like, that's what the community is, why people stay, but it's the components of the community. He's like, man, we took all our content and made it completely free. And the membership grew because people wanted to hang out. They wanted the accountability. Like your challenges, we do 8-week workshops. So it's like you do something one day, you wait 2 weeks, you come back, have a meeting, you come back, and you're kind of baby stepping through a process.
I like that.
That's what keeps people, man, because they have someone looking at them. It's not just them alone in their basement trying to build an online business or something. They get to stick with it with other people. They get to hear other people going, dang, I didn't work for 3 days. And you're like, oh, me too. That we're cool. Let's just get back on the wagon, bro. Come on. Let's just run. Let's just do it again together. And that's what keeps people paying month after month and year after year. I think there's 2 places there where content comes in. Like there is a line that I've seen with content. if you're teaching true beginners something, I think you have to have some kind of premium process or blueprint or path for them in your community, right? Like if you're launching a membership site, that's what we teach people to do, okay? But then if you've got like this thing right here, like for example, we did a book club one time and it bombed. You know why? They told us because they were overwhelmed with all the other content and information anyway, they couldn't read another book. It was just too much. But if you've got like this, these are vetted people who are a little more advanced. Of course they got time to read a book. They're ready to go to the next level. They may have freed up their time. They've got some things going. So you figured out the kind of the magic of where content stops, and you've built something for that point. And now you get to just play in that sandbox. You don't have to worry about content development. You just worry about, what are we doing today? Where's the party? It's like the cruise director. You've created a cruise. The Pat Flynn pleasure cruise of membership heaven is what you created.
Maybe we'll actually do one of those one day when we can again, because I miss going on the Disney cruise. That's for sure. You had said something about when people were sort of reluctant to start replying to other people. That's something that we really honed in on in the beginning of our launches. Was just like, we want you to converse, we want you to reply, we want you to share. We did a lot of things up front to have people feel comfortable with getting in there and chatting with people and challenging them to respond to somebody else, just to kind of allow for them to understand that they have permission to do that. I think if you approach it from, hey, it's about us, a lot of people aren't going to feel that they have permission to share, or maybe even overstep you. Or like you said, there's going to be some people who are just by far going to answer things way better than you can. In fact, we have a guy, Brad Hussey, in our channel who absolutely blows my mind every time he creates an answer to somebody, because he's using Loom, he's popping a video in there, he's instructing people, he's teaching people even more than some of us are sometimes, especially with relation to email, which is sort of his specialty. So it's just cool to champion that. And one thing that we're going to be implementing in the future is a way to champion and celebrate and spotlight the key members who are actually stepping up and rewarding them and showing others like, hey, we see you when you step up and you're a part of this community. We want to reward you for that. And we're going to have awards, we're going to have prizes, giveaways, things like that. You had also mentioned something about like keeping people around for sticking around, right? They stay for the people for sure. I think our events are doing a great job of also sticking people inside, because we have a plan through most of the rest of the year. So it's like, if you see that in December, it's now August, in December that this special guest is going to come on, or that this event is happening and it's directly in alignment with the things that you have going on, and you can see the entire game plan for the rest of the year, it's like, well, I'd be done to leave now.
Yeah.
This is what I'm paying for the entire experience. And it was really interesting because we had about a 50-50 or 60-40 split overall in terms of our payments. So 60% of the people going with the payment plan, 40% of the people going with the one-time, which we hear is kind of high on the one-time, which means that it's actually, we could provide even more value or even increase the price point. But we're just really happy with how it launched. We launched with 530 founding members.
It's amazing.
Absolutely thriving. I haven't, like you said, been in there. I was very much involved in the first week. I was like, I want to show up. I want to show people I'm here. And now, like you, I'm experimenting with a little bit of, okay, let me sit aside a little bit and see what happens. And just right from the start, everybody's interacting with each other. There's no post that's left unresponded to. And we're ready to grow it. And we're going to continue to have that application process so that we do vet the right people in there, but also have that very special feel for what it's like once you're in. And then we're going to start implementing some physical products to go along with this. I know you do this for this podcast. I know you do this for other things too. And I think that's really smart. Another way to make people feel special. And I think that you've read my book, Superfans, you know this. Having people feel like they belong to something is exactly the key thing here for success. Because right now, a lot of people are feeling disconnected. But when you find your person, your people, your tribe, you don't want to leave anymore. You found the people who you belong with. And that sense of belonging is really key. You can still be on the field, but not feel like you belong.
Yeah.
Until you get the ball passed to you every once in a while, or you are celebrated, that you feel like you belong to something. And that's what we're trying to do with an SPA Pro.
We've been getting more into merch, like especially t-shirts, man. I heard, you heard of Lady Boss, Kaylin from Lady Boss? Mm-hmm. She said something incredible one time about how she the way her community and her tribe grew so fast is because they were just like losing money every day on swag. They were just sending out as many t-shirts as possible and getting because what they wanted though was not even the pub of like getting people to share it on Instagram. It was like, put on your uniform, put on your superhero cape and join the club. You know what I'm saying? And like, and it's amazing how something simple like that. And we, Jocelyn, we collect information as people come into the community. Like we get like people's birthdays, and every Sunday we do a prayer thread in the community to check on people to see if anything bad's happening in their life. You know, it's not just all sunshine and rainbows, right? Yeah, and so Jocelyn every day gets up and sends, we got these little flipped lifestyle postcards, and she handwrites happy birthdays to people, right? So even though she's not in the community like all the time, she's reaching out to these people all the time. She's always sending out these birthday cards. And then Carrie, our director of community, she is there monitoring that prayer thread. And she literally handwrites, like, you know, if someone posts something, she goes in and gets their address and she sends those out. And man, it costs nothing like to do those two things. I mean, think about it. Like everybody loves to be told happy birthday, and not like HBD on Facebook, people. That's not the kind of birthday I want here, but like happy birthday, you know, we're really thinking about you. They'll highlight things like, man, I saw your success story you wrote in the success forum. And then, but that prayer thread, man, you talk about like building a relationship with people. All the community gets to rally around people when they have, like, we got a message today. Actually someone's kid died that we know in there, and it's someone close to us. I mean, he's an adult child. It's like in his 20s or almost 30. Right. But still it's horrific. Right. But man, just to know that, like, it's not just, we don't just care because you pay your monthly membership. Like, we're all in this together. Like, we're all suffering we're trying to manage our businesses through personal things. We're all trying to navigate a world that's probably going to be different for the next 30 years of our lives. It just is. And just adding little human elements like that to a membership. And, you know, from a pure business standpoint, it's the LTV's out the roof, the relationships are deeper, the community becomes stronger, right? And that's something that we've really done, is try to scale what doesn't scale. If you can do that in your community, oh my gosh, like there's no telling like how big it can be.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you mind? I mean, I wrote that down. I'm gonna borrow or get inspiration from some of that for our community, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, still we're all about everything's out there. Someone sent me a message the other day and said, "Hey Shane, I quoted something you said on the podcast and gave you no credit." And I was like, "Sweet, do it, steal away, man." Yeah. Tell me more about Circle, because we've been looking into this. See, our umbrella of Flip Lifestyle is starting to expand. So one project that Jocelyn's working on now is we want to take the model of Flip Lifestyle, which is the family focused entrepreneur. That's really where we hone into. You know, God bless you if you're trying to live in Bali on $6 a day. God bless you. Go to Thailand, have a blast. I love you, but I got kids and stuff to do, and I can't do that. So, but we're trying to focus in on people with families, trying to hustle, trying to balance. Dang, man. Like last night, I was going to bed about 11 o'clock, and my son, he has anxiety really, really bad. And a panic attack will come over him out of nowhere. Right. And it's an hour to 2 hour thing, Pat. Like it's crazy. He's so normal and happy and good. And then all of a sudden just, Dad, I feel it. And he just gets scared and he doesn't know why, and he can't breathe. And he had a panic attack last night at 12 o'clock. And I had to, and you know, one thing about the panic attacks is you can't go to sleep before him or it won't end. Right. Mm-hmm. So I had to stay up till, 2 or 3 o'clock last night.
Night terrors? Like he's asleep and then he wakes up, or?
My story, of course, I've told you this before, is like he had a really bad experience in a daycare, some post-traumatic stress from that. They were locking him in like a dark bathroom and all these things. And he's had a couple experiences that have kind of settled into his psyche. And sometimes, no, he's wide awake, but a fog comes over him and he looks like he's looking off into the distance. Right. And it's going to start, it's going to end, everything's going to be okay. Like you just have to ride the ride with him, Yeah. But that's kind of who we're talking to, man. It's like people who are, you know what, this is real world. I got to stay up till 2 o'clock and I still got to get up and talk to Pat Flynn today. I still got to go write a few emails today. Right. And that's who's like in our community. I was going somewhere with this and I've kind of got off track.
Circle.
Yeah. I was talking about Circle. yeah. That's where I got this. But what I was saying was, hold on. I've totally messed up here. I'm off the rails, but that's what the Membership Masters podcast.
Real life, man. I love it.
Real life, man. But like what I was trying to make a thing was I got it. We're trying to reach out to other groups. So we've even thought about creating our own little mini network, but us not necessarily doing everything. Like we might hire podcast guests and create a podcast called Flip Your Family, which is all about parenting or marriage or whatever. One of the things Jocelyn is really passionate about right now is local Main Street marketing, helping these businesses, these restaurants, like survive COVID, basically, And she actually just took on like 4 or 5 new clients last week, one-on-one. She's like, I got to help some of these people. I just got to do it. And she's not done one-on-one coaching in 2 or 3 years. But she looked into Circle. I had never heard of Circle. I didn't know what it was, but she was telling me some of the things about it, and it sounds really cool. So like, what all does Circle do exactly for your membership?
So Circle is going to be your membership platform where you bring your community. They have a username and they can connect. It's a beautiful marriage between Facebook groups and Slack, if you've ever used Slack. Slack, especially the features being the channels that you can create and housing different conversations in different places, and how easy it is to archive and search through those conversations. Facebook in the way that the conversations are managed, as well as connections via DMs. And they're working on so many other features to help with the connection feature, like group DMs and things like that, private chats and whatnot, very soon. But it's minimal, and it's so intuitive when you get in there.
Is it an app, or is it something you embed in your platform?
It's its own app. It's its own app. So we log into SPI Pro's Circle community. And the way that it actually got started was it was actually started by ex-Teachable employees who left to start this because it was filling in a gap within the community space, because Teachable is taking care of online courses, but there was no community element to it. These guys started it, and it's just, they're knocking it out of the park with how simple it is to use, literally just coming out of alpha right now and out of beta for new members now, which is really cool. So I'm an advisor, I'm an affiliate, maybe I'm a little biased, but it is absolutely crushing it for our community. In fact, we now have a special area within our community that's specifically for questions about how to work with Circle, because so many people have been asking about it once they've gone in there. It's Slack and Facebook and all the great parts of that. I mean, there are other great network and community applications out there, like Mighty Networks and other ones that, I think Tribe is another one. There's so many, but Circle is the one that we found, and also we feel has the biggest opportunity to include more of what we're hoping to put in there in the future. And it's a result of being an advisor. We have like literally direct, like, hey, you guys should do this. Okay. 2 weeks, boom, it's like done. Like, that's so cool, especially as we're starting out. So I almost feel like it's partly my company in a way, because I'm definitely supporting it very heavily, recommending it very heavily, and have some influence on what the company will eventually become.
It's fascinating. The problem we've had in the past of third-party apps, which is what I would consider. Okay, so number one, we're from a core value standpoint, we want to control as much as we can control, right? Like, inside of our community. And also another core value is teach new people as few habits as possible, right? So if you join my community and you come in, we have the forums embedded inside of our area. We've got single sign-on turned on. I wish we had used Loom. I really wish now. People do use Loom and other video things to drop links in our forums. I've seen people do that, but we don't really teach that. But I think I'm going to try to encourage that more. I may just
where when a person embeds that, it actually shows up as a video that can just be played, or do they have to click?
Oh yeah. We use a tool called Website Toolbox for our forum, and if they drop the use Loom video in, it's there. You drop a YouTube video in, it's there.
Pieces and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So but then I like the idea of something like this, like that. The problem with that is it's still kind of old school. It's still kind of a forum. It's still kind of typing on a Facebook group or something. There's not that. I wish there was more soul to it, right? And Circle sounds like it's got a little soul to it. You know what I mean, man?
Soul to it, man. You should pop in. I can give you access so you can kind of see what it's like.
Yeah, I would love to do that. So how are you teaching it and onboarding people? Like, are you saying like an email immediately, like, hey, the number one thing you got to get, because I'm sure there's a member area that there's got to be a page they drop into, or is the whole community just in Circle? Like, you have to have Circle to be in it.
I mean, the whole community is in Circle, but we give you a link to get in there, and you get your username, login, you're in, and then you immediately go to our welcome message, which will teach you literally in like 3 minutes the rundown. There isn't much to go over. It's not a super complicated area with so many different places. The places are mainly our channels and how we've sort of guided where certain conversations should happen. So we have, if I go into my pro now, I know people are going to be listening to this. Do you want to like see it?
Oh yeah, we can talk it out, dude. We're We're pros. We've spun a yarn or two on the old microphone. We can explain what's happening.
Okay, cool. I mean, if you want to allow me to share the screen, I can totally do that, and then I'll try to explain as I go here.
All right, you're now co-host. This will be on YouTube too, so if anybody wants to go check this out, if you can't follow along with the next couple minutes, just check it out on YouTube.
It's a great way to cross promote your YouTube stuff. So for anybody watching,
FlipLifestyle.com/YouTube. Go.
Yeah, there you go. So this is sort of like feels very much like Facebook in the way that the conversations are here and they're happening. See, this post from a day ago has 12 comments. None of our team members are in there. See the founding tag from each of these people. And we have these sections on the left-hand side, which is very Slack-like. So we have community things, which are like our announcements, our events and whatnot. Here's that event that I was talking about that Ask Me Anything.
Book club challenges, things like that. Yeah.
Or, and if I go in here, there's 92 comments on this one. I could show you sort of what the Q&A sort of looked like.
So is that video being generated by a use Loom link that you dropped in right there?
Exactly. So we pop it in there. It's there. It has that little GIF that shows it beforehand. This is each question has an answer.
And Loom is integrated with Circle?
It is.
Oh, beautiful.
As well as Spotify. If you have a podcast, you just pop in your Spotify link. It actually shows the actual Spotify player.
Crush. It's amazing.
Which is pretty cool. So anyway, on the left-hand side, you'll see community elements, the book club, weekly wins, pitching things, asking for feedback. We're going to put a prayer or maybe hard topics sort of one there, I'm assuming.
So you can click on the hashtag and any conversation within that hashtag is going to, just like Slack, it's all going to be threaded together. Basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's also some really cool things that you can do here too. So for example, we are using the membership as a way to promote, hey, we have access to special deals that you can't get anywhere else with companies that we're with, right? So we asked some of our favorite companies. We scroll down here, we can find some deals and discounts. So these are,
I see.
And down here, look at the way this is. I mean, this looks like
you've created your own little internal mini app sumo.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly. We run these workshops as well. Our workshop strategy has been crushing, dude. I can't wait to share this with you. But these are workshops that and I'll stop sharing my screen here, just so I can chat with everybody. But workshops have been great. One big problem that we had when selling our courses was that our bonuses weren't very good. They were always sort of like, oh, that thing we did 2 years ago, like let's add it on and just call it something. We didn't want to do that anymore. We wanted to provide real value. So what we did, it was sort of a multi-phase process. We've run these paid workshops, like $99 workshops, like a productivity workshop, a traffic booster workshop is our best one. And we sold that individually. And we had hundreds of people show up who just wanted to know that thing and that thing alone. They get a lot of value. That's great. It's awesome. It's live. They get the Q&A at the end, etc. They leave happy. We take the replay of that, we chop it up, and we turn it into a teachable course. So it's actually filmed in a way. I have Caleb come in. So even though it's on Zoom, we have a second camera on that's super high resolution. It's capturing really good audio, so it's finely tuned. And then we chop it up, and it's like a 8 to 12 lesson course now that is the replay, but it's filmed in a way that it's like a real course. And now that becomes a bonus for our other courses, which is really cool. So if you buy, for example, Power Up Podcasting, you can get access to our Traffic Booster workshop and then maybe another workshop as a fast action bonus to give people a reason to buy now. If you're a member of SPI Pro, you get full access to all the workshops that we've done and all of our future workshops, which are they're positioned as $99, and we're doing one a month. So already you're getting paid to be a member, if you will, because the membership's $49 a month. These workshops are $99 every time, but you get free access to them, and they're just available within Circle right when you get in there. So that's another sort of pricing, positioning thing that we're doing to add even more value in there for these things that we are indeed selling outside of SPI Pro, but you get access to them for free within.
I'll tell you another good trick with that. I hate to say the word trick, but I can't find another word that makes sense. It's just another neat thing you can do.
Okay.
It's like another psychological ploy. No, I'm just kidding. Like, so we have like 52 courses or something in our process, right? But they're all standalone. So like one's about mindset, about memberships, and one's about whatever. So our downsell sequence, what we do is we sell those courses the same way you do, like individually, because some people may just not be ready to commit to your membership.
Right.
But on the page that they land on, like let's say we have a course for $79, right? We have two options. I got this from a buddy of mine a couple years ago. So we have two options, and they side by side. One is the course you picked, and it's $79. And we have this like the name of that course, and then there's like 10 other things that are grayed out. Right beside it is the membership for the same price every month. So like you're sitting there going, like you could get this or you could get all the things, bro. Come on come on back in the fold. Come on, jump in. And it might, man, that converts like crazy because it really is a no-brainer. I'm paying the same amount right now. It's cancel anytime. Most people don't cancel anytime, right? And they just keep like rolling back in. But I love how you're cutting them up with another camera. I've never thought about doing that before, like setting up the real rig around you, talk into the Zoom, get the little 2 camera setup going, flipping back and forth. Now you've got production quality course.
It is.
And do you put that inside the membership too, or just the workshop raw file?
It's the same one. They get access to the cut up produced one in SPA.
I gotcha. So you just put that back in there. Yeah.
The way that we do that is largely determined by the slides that I create. So in my preparation for those workshops, again, it's a live workshop. I could easily just riff and talk, and I have to be very strategic about, okay, part 1, I have to teach during this time. I'll add some, moments in between part 1 and part 2, but part 1 is going to be in its like whole. Like it's just going to be a contained part 1 with just me on camera, looking at the camera as if I was filming the course right then and there. And then in between parts, I might go back to the chat and go, okay, chat, let me see what you guys are up to. And of course, that stuff doesn't get shown in the final product.
Oh, yeah, I see. You're just trimming.
And then at the end, we do the Q&A, which sometimes go about a half hour or so with the people that are there. And that's of value to the people who are there live. And I always say, and hey, if you're watching the replay, you should probably get access to the live one so that you can have access to directly asking me questions here. Or you can be a member of SPI Pro and have access to these and all future updates too, or all future.
That's another thing you can roll out publicly. So what we do is now we take our Q&As, and we had no YouTube followers a few months ago. Like we had never looked at it, never tried. I need to do what you did and go live every day. I don't know if I'm as disciplined as you are though. And but the Q&As we let go out publicly. So like if we did a workshop and say I answered 10 questions about the workshop, I don't let the workshop go out publicly if I want to sell it, but I do let the Q&A go because it gives you like a taste of what's inside of it. You know what I'm saying? And we've been using that for YouTube.
Shows people on the outside that there's people on the inside and they want
FOMO, baby. FOMO. That's what our Facebook group is. In our vision statement, we did a vision plan for the next 36 months, and we were trying to see what each part was for. And Carrie asked me, she said, well, what is the Facebook? Because we have a Facebook group called the Flip Your Life Community that we just started about 2 months ago. Yeah. Because we never had one. And I said, it's for FOMO. It's, hey, there's a great conversation in the community. Here's the link. You can't, if you click the link, you have to join to read that question, right? Then you release one, and then you're like, oh, there's a member call Tuesday. If you want to come ask questions, sign up, free trial. You know what I mean? So we just use that group for as much FOMO of what's happening in the community as possible, because you're still throwing value out there. Like you're still sharing and building community and helping all those things, but there's a million different ways to go. Well, listen, man, I know we've got to stop. I wish we could talk for 2 more hours, man, but I got another call. You've got stuff to do, bro. We couldn't get in more than an hour together, but man, I love it, dude. I am so impressed by the new membership that you've launched. And I just love it when I hear people launch those recurring revenue products for 2 reasons. One, I'm a big believer in raising the floor of your business. Disney, when they launched Disney Plus, created $170 million a month floor for their business. Thank God they did it before coronavirus, right? Because when the parks shut down, they still had the digital streaming like revenue. And 2, man, I've been in this a long time, and I just, everything I've seen, I've taken courses, listened to podcasts, read books, done all the things, joined masterminds, bought coaching, flew out to see you one time at a thing you did. Like all the things I've done, I've never seen people provide as much value and cause a ripple like in a membership. I mean, every day you get to drop a pebble in the pond and hit 500 people now. And it's going to be 1,000, 2,000, and man, it's going to change a lot of people's lives. Listen, man, I enjoyed this conversation, dude. I learned. I love this podcast because I get to learn from amazing people like you, bro. It's awesome. So tell everybody a little bit about where they can find you, and also more about where they can find information about your new community.
Yeah, I mean, again, Pat Flynn on pretty much everywhere, YouTube, Instagram, etc. I'd love to connect with you there. But if you're interested in the community, smartpassiveincome.com/pro. Even if you want to just see our application process and what that's like, I would recommend you go there, especially, of course, if you're interested in joining the group. Would love to have you. smartpassiveincome.com/pro. And catch me every day on YouTube, 8 a.m. Pacific in the morning on youtube.com/Pat Flynn.
Boom. It's amazing, dude.
Thank you for that. It's literally the first time we've had recurring revenue in my business after 12 years. It's about time.
It's about time. It's about time. All right, brother. Well, listen, you have a great day, man. Love you, dude.
Thank you. Love you too. Love you, audience. Thanks so much for coming in.